Okay. And in the capital, the Workers' Right Bill. Section 1 of the bill... Okay, no, okay, it's different than what we saw. Section 1 of the bill sets the groundwork for the fair compensation of establishing a minimum wage of 2.1 Sordland rand per hour. This ensures as a benchmark for fair and equitable pay, ensuring that no worker in Sordland is compensated below this rate. Section 2 addresses the issue of excess labor, setting a maximum limit to 60 hours of work per week. This provision aims to prevent worker exploitation and safeguard the well-being of the Swedish labor force. Section 3 introduces the concept of double overtime pay. This stipulates that any work performed beyond 40-hour work week will be compensated at twice the normal hourly wage. This incentivizes fair work practices, ensuring employees are dutifully compensated for their extended efforts. Section 4 focuses on worker safety and humane work conditions. It mandates that employers must take all necessary steps to protect their workers from occupational hazards and ensure a dignified and safe working environment. This promotes a culture of respect and care within the workplaces across Sordland. Section 5 extends these protections to migrant and undocumented workers, granting them the same rights as Swedish citizens. Employers who fail to abide by these rules will face substantial fines from the government. Well, we'll sign that out. Okay. Budget's gone down a little bit. Increase employee cost. We improved working conditions. Okay, workers' right reform. I mean, it seems good. I don't think there's any other new information here. And a new law on workers' rights. The Workers' Rights Act has been signed into law by President Rayne after an approval of the Grand Legislative Assembly by majority vote on Monday following a 6-hour debate. Mantuileke, who campaigned heavily for the bill, also sought to express his gratitude for the confirmation of the new law, saying it contained a much vital rules and regulations for the workers, the backbone of the nation. The new law establishes a minimum wage of 2.5, weekly maximum 60 hours, yada yada yada. We've already seen that before. Recent information implemented a workers' right bill caused the initial protests against the government to mellow down after the Morbel mine disaster. Chants of anger have turned into solidarity marches. One of the spokespersons for the Nedem mining group has accused President Rayne of acting impulsively with his bill, saying that it puts too much weight on the businesses. After the public announcement, Nedem has received hundreds of lawsuits from people across the country. In a surprising move, President Rayne has decided to do something right for its citizens by signing the Workers' Right Act into law. This looks like a publicity move after the terrible Morbel mining disaster, and the new law establishes the minimum wage and sets a ceiling for the maximum amount of hours on top of the new regulations for companies. Mr. Rayne's move to give more rights to workers have been welcomed by many. On the other hand, this may be simply a diversion from the actual real issues of the government. Okay, what do we have? Regional investment decision, a nice walk with our wife. What do we have here? -2, huh? Gus Mancher and Simon Hall prepared an extensive regional investment package to revitalize one of the top 3 economic fragile regions by boosting municipal budgets, providing a large sum of businesses grants and giving cheap loans to companies with liquidity problems. Angland, Bergia. We could give it to the south. You know? And Lorraine is... Where's Lorraine? You're Lorraine. Agneland. Like, we're already kind of investing in the north, right? Your deficit's too big. We're like, we can go up to like -20. Just saw the big -7. Like, ignore this. Pretend like it's -7. You know? Think about it that way, and then like new avenues will But think like Bergia has a lot of like separatists, and if we invest in them, it'll make the region potentially like more stable, and it'll be less likely that they're just going to like rise amid revolution. Or we'll be just giving money straight into the hands of the BFF. Okay, we won't invest right now because I can't afford it. Let's... Well, you know, let's have a nice chat with my wife. I'm the man of the people. I got an achievement. Let's go. It was early evening, still light out with a faint nip of the air. Frank was at his friend's, and Diana was at an art class. Monica and I decided to go for a walk before dinner. Our favorite place for a stroll was the nearby Capitol Park. the largest green space in all of Hulsord. Before the children were born, we spent many evenings engaged in deep conversation along the river promenade. Another favored path wound through the woods behind the presidential housing complex, to a private pond where the children could swim in summer. I was told that Sol himself had it built. The benefits of being president. Monica met me by the door, and we put on our coats and hats. I was going to suggest that we walk towards Sol Square, but the guards have told me that it's been closed yet for yet another protest. I wonder who they're protesting this time. Doesn't matter. Common thugs. I'll make sure they're punished. How long until we get civil war? It's never going to happen, okay? It's never going to happen. I don't know. I guess we'll just say the young swords are taking it too far. In any case, where should we go? I'm not sure Capitol Park is a wise idea in this climate either. You know, let's just stay inside. We'll have a nice, like, walk-ins in the neighborhood. I agree. Let's go then before the children get home. I informed the guards about our route and we left to the house. The guards followed at a discreet distance as we headed towards the walking trail. As we entered the woods, Monica broke the silence. So, how was your day? Paperwork, endless meetings, the usual nightmare. I don't know. I imagine someone might find that stimulating. How was your day? Oh, it's fine. I caught up with some reading while the children were at school. Just outside the gate, I glimpsed Ainios Krona, the former Minister of Justice, walking towards Capitol Park. I remember that Nina Morgana used to be his vice minister. He didn't seem to notice us as we walked by. Ainios was once fought hard and strong against Sol's judiciary reforms, but after years of the government blocking his every move, he gave up on his ideals and became part of the administration. So what did our ideals really mean if they could be changed so easily? What about the people that we idolize? Evelyn also came around for tea. She says hi. She was feeling, rather low, though. Apparently, she and Peter had a bit of a disagreement. Peter's in the doghouse again. How did it happen? Apparently, Peter had too much whiskey, the usual, and didn't behave when Evelyn's father was over for dinner yesterday. You know Peter. What do you think about this? That's Peter. Perpetually pickled. I'll have to talk with him. Good. Evelyn seemed close to tears. Being married to a shrew like her would make anybody turn to the bottle. Anton, you can't say that. Aren't you glad that we don't have these kind of quarrels? Monica didn't say anything. We kept walking. Ah, shit. It's a no good choice situation. Evelyn hasn't been the same since what happened to her at Hulsord Post last year. You remember how she got fired for supporting Alfonso? Peter tried everything to get our job back, but it didn't work. It's a sad day for journalism and free speech in Sordland. I completely agree. A sad day indeed. But enough about the veterans. I also spoke to Janice on the phone. Who? Sorry, I don't remember who Janice is. You remember, my friend from university? We were in the Swordish Literacy Club together. A few years younger than me, red hair, scar on her forehead. We had dinner with her and her husband once or twice. Neither the name nor the description rang a bell. Right, that Janice. Anyway, she's been working on an exclusive as an executive assistant at the Violet Pictures film studio. She recently became pregnant and asked her boss for paid maternity leave. And guess what? She was fired for it. After asking for maternity leave? That's terrible. Terrible. It's awful. I know. I was beside myself when she told me. And that was not all. They immediately replaced her with a younger, less experienced man. The son of an executive, no less. It's utterly ridiculous. I'm happy you agree with me. As it happens, another friend works for a television station that's hiring secretaries. So I connected the two of them. Doesn't solve the deeper problem, though, does it? Exactly. I knew that you'd be on the same page. Women in this country are still seen as wives and mothers first, and human beings second. They're harassed at work, they're underpaid, they're blocked from position of powers, and those are the lucky ones. The fact that there are still places in this country where little girls like Dina are denied the right to an education. Yes. I will do all that we... You know what? Go on. Go on. Go off, Queen. These little girls and people like Janice need someone to speak on their behalf. A role model. A successful woman. We reached the pond at the end of the trail, a park's bench overlooking the water. Monica gestured to it, and we sat down. Which brings me to my point. I know that the mayor of Enrica, Curtin Les, will be delivering a speech at the annual opening of the Benfi Festival. My wish is to take his place and deliver the speech instead. Les was one of Sordland's most influential politicians. He had started his career in Benfi before rising to power in Enrica. Benfi's current mayor had personally invited him to make the opening speech. Replacing him with Monica would likely anger him. Probably not enough to cause a huge incident, but enough that it might use the influence over the conservatives to block me in the assembly. I want to base the speech on women's rights in Sordland, on the oppression and discrimination that we face every day, on the basis of our sex alone. I want our voice heard, and this festival is the time to do it. I just need your blessing as my husband and the president of Sordland. Remember my time at the Sordland League of Women in University? You supported me then, and I'm asking you to support me now. Monica's eyes were blazing with a fire that I hadn't seen since we were students. She wanted this badly. But I had to be careful with my promises. Can't you just, like, both speak? Like, why can't you just speak after? You can both do it. Does it have to be at the festival? Why can't you make your speech another time? It has to be now. Thousands go to this festival. No one wants to hear two people speak at the party. And millions watch the speeches at home. Sordland's women can wait no longer. It's out of, I can't. I need... Look. I can't. I don't understand. There's something that you don't care. It's something that you don't... Wait. Isn't this something you care about as well? I don't want you stepping into politics. I can't make Curtin less angry. I'll be honest. You know, I can't... It's important. What little trouble this causes in the short term is nothing compared to the lasting positive change it'll bring, not just for women, but for all of Sordland. I mean, it's a tough situation. So Curtis Les is more important to you than Monica? Can't they both speak? If he's so important, then why don't you marry him? He's my mistress. He's my side piece. Like, that complicates it even more. I don't know. Might as well cancel. I don't think so. Monica was silent for a while. When she finally spoke, there was a chill in her voice. That's truly how you feel, so be it. Look! I love my wife! Like, oh, my wife has personally made the economy more unstable. Oh, shit. I didn't know she was that powerful. Okay, what's going on in the news? Several incidents of religious violence have occurred in Deer recently. The perpetrators identified as Golconist, which almost exclusively applies to people who have Bluish descent. This comes as no surprise to many, as the Bluish population has long been associated with rebellion and separatist movements. With their fanaticism around their fringe religion on the increase, the government must take a strong stance against the growing threat to our national security. It is clear that the Bluish people have a history of violent tendencies, and the rise of extremist Golconist only serves to reinforce this fact. This is a troubling trend in the region, especially after the Golconist revolution in nearby Nurist Republic of Dirdia, which surely has its hand in the spread of Golconism in eastern Recopa. Recent attacks in Sordland have targeted innocent civilians and caused a great deal of harm, despite its small scale. We must not allow this violence to take root in Bergia, and it is imperative that the government take swift and decisive action on the situation. The news of international interest in Golsum continues to spread, and reports confirm that Angraka and Quina, alongside Gomland, are also considering significant investments. This potential injection of foreign capital could drastically alter the financial landscape of the struggling storage energy giant, promising a potential turnaround. As proponents of the free market economics, we must welcome such investments as opportunities rather than threats. Explosion in Deer. 3 killed, 22 wounded. A bomb attack on the police station in Deer has killed 3 officers and injured 22 others, officials say. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. The police of Deer said militants from the BFF were likely behind the attack, and reported that several militants also fired at the officers as they tried to escape the fires of the explosions in the treacherous pre-planned ambush. There's also a wave of unrest in Sordland for the last couple of months. And these attacks would suggest that their racial tensions in Bergia have also increased to dangerous levels, which raises the questions about how the situation could be handled. The Worker Party of Blodia has condemned the incident, adding that the BFF does not reflect the views or the culture of the British people. Arcasia has called on both sides to avoid violence, but stressed that Sordland has the right to defend itself against attacks by British rebels. Detonation. Current public reports of the Ministry of Economy are pointing to a deep underlying problem in the Swordish economic standings: debt. It appears that the current ventures to get out of the recession have put a considerable dent in the reserves. Although the comments from the administration state that the situation is only temporary, that remains to be seen. Our economic advisors have commented on the matter, saying that the current stance of the administration is hiding the extent of the debt. This will of course bring in the question, is Sordland turning into a debt nation? It's been like fucking 3 weeks! You can't deal with a little bit of debt for 3 weeks? Okay, progress of the Ayotoka plan. The ambitious Ayotake plan, led by the astute Vice Secretary Chairman, Tokes Intili, Ayotake, continues its march in Nibia and has expanded its influence into neighboring nations such as Zeeland, East Gorkuk, Sonsamia, and beyond. Despite facing a myriad of controversies and inherent challenges of implementing a vast socio-economic transformations, CSP's propagandist agenda is undeniably poised to determine Rika's trajectory. The unfolding dynamic present is a pressing query. How will the ATO counter such an extensive geopolitical maneuver? The chessboard is set, and the game's stakes are high, potentially defining the ideological alignment of Rika for decades to come. Okay. Chancellor Hegel of Vajland publicly censured Acacia's recent move to establish a military base on Ravenos Island during a press conference on Wednesday, labeling the act as provocative gesture. Hegel argued that this development not only undermines regional peace and stability, but also poses a direct threat to Vajland national security. Unyielding in his condemnation, Hegel stressed that Vagland is not a country to be bullied so easily. We and the entire CSP coalition will correspond in force if Acacia does not withdraw from the island. The escalating tension casts a shadow over the geopolitical dynamics of the region as international community await Acacia's response. And Smollett condemns Arcasian soldiers in Lesbia. The Wavjek president, Viktor Smollett, on Thursday criticized the Lesbian government for bringing Arcasian soldiers close to the border of Wayland. Last month, Prime Minister Adavez and President Walker agreed on the construction of several military bases in Lesbia that would station ATO soldiers, with the arrival of the first Arcasian soldiers to Lesbia this week. Wayland's stance has become increasingly hostile. In his speech Thursday, Smollett said that President Walker has succeeded in spreading Arcasian imperialism to Eastern Rakopa, which will have consequences for every one of us in the region. The ATO is clearly expanding its influence in our region, using Lesbia. We must be careful, said President Smollett, warning the neighboring nations of Agnolia and Sordland to be prepared for future crises. Okay, so what's the situation here? Nationwide peaceful protest? That's fine. Now what's going on in Bornen? Red Youth members charged with terrorism and treason. 12 militants from the Red Youth have been tried and sentenced to 96 years in prison due to terrorism and treason-related charges in Bornen. Many more Red Youth members are awaiting their turn in prison. Okay. Next up, can I please go back to Sordland? In Deer, bomb threats, or bombs the police station. In a treacherous attack, the BFF has bombed the police station in Deer, killed 3 officers and 22 injured. They escaped into the Gurman Mountains near Uzrin, and the search is starting to bring them to justice. The border guard has been notified of the attackers in case they try to flee into Valent. The Works Party of Blodia condemned the incident. In Deer, we got some violence. Religious violence committed by the Bloodish Gorkondist in Deer. The attacks target members of other religious groups, resulting in injuries and property damage. The situation is concerning and warrants immediate attention from law enforcement and government officials. In Lakeven, Gosum has resumed hiring. Gosum, Latvian's local energy giant, has resumed its hiring operations after several months of pause. The company recently welcomed 100 new employees into its workforce, signaling a potential recovery phase after a extensive hiring freeze. With the latest additions, Gosum is set to rejuvenate its operations and drive forward towards a more robust performance in the upcoming months. And we got some young sword members arrested and face terrorism charges. 6 terrorists, 154 years. Quite a while. It's quite a while. Okay, now it's time for us to deal with the police budget. I was in my office reading the reports from the ministries about the current situation of the protest. My scheduled meeting was with Nia and Laius to discuss law enforcement budget. I heard some knocks on the door. Nia entered and took a seat in front of my desk. Laius was absent. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Laius will be late. Apparently there was an urgent matter at the Ministry of the Interior that she had to attend to, and shouldn't take long. What's the urgent matter? She said something about supply disruption for police forces. That's nothing major. I returned to my reports, and Nia smoothed back to a errant strand of her hair. There was an awkward silence. While we wait, why don't we have a little chat? This might come off as a little strange, but I'm proud of you. Despite everything, you're actually trying to reform the country. No, it's we, Nia, not me. I couldn't do any of this by myself, so no. I'm proud of you. Well, thank you. You certainly have a way with words, don't you? Words are just words. Actions are what important. And you seem to be doing well at both so far. Pros are canceling out the cons for sure. She leaned forward. How are you really holding up, Anton? Being the president, I mean. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it's also the best thing that I've ever done in my life. The day I got elected president was the best day of my life. Because we got my wife. My wife is nagging me about, oh, I want to speak at a festival. Go speak in front of like a train station or something. I don't know. If I find your own venue. I can imagine. So much responsibility and so much power at the same time. I want to assist you in the country as best as I can. Unfortunately, my hands are tied with the current budget allocation that we have for law enforcement. She barely finishes the sentence before we heard a knock at the door. Nia almost jumped in her chair. Lila's Graff had entered the room. Mr. President, Nia, I hope that I am not interrupting your conversation. Oh, no at all. We were just discussing a few things. Nia smiles at Laius. I'm sorry for being late. There are important matters in my ministry. The security forces in Bergia are arbitrarily not cooperating with my department and creating some minor annoyances. Unfortunately, due to my limited authority in the special zone of Bergia, I can't control their operations. Luckily, they didn't have completely botched their task and actually uncovered a large network of priests that are recruiting Bergians for the BFF. Okay. Do you want to explain more? The issue was a miscommunication about an ongoing investigation inside Bergia. But as I said, it didn't affect the results in a negative way. The investigation itself, however, reveals some troubling facts. We suspect that the existence of a massive network of BFF-aligned priests currently are serving in Bergia. We have discovered that most of the existing Golconda sanctuaries and communities inside Bergia are indeed working directly with the BFF. Several reports also point to a possible infiltration of Dasternist and Waricist communities by these by the Golconda sects. May the divine God forgive us if that is true. Okay. Thank you for your brief report, Lilas. Of course, Mr. President. She took her seat next to Nia and she continued talking. Well, let's get straight into it. We need to provide a brief update on the situation of law enforcement. Go ahead. Nia? The Ministry of Justice and the Supreme Court is working in close collaboration with the Ministry of Interior to address the protests in the country. I must add that thanks to the hard work of our judiciary, the law enforcement forces assigned to my ministry are doing their job efficiently. I would call it a success of our forces on the ground, but not due to the judicial branch for government. Leah shot Nia a brief, withering glance. The current budget has dampened hopes for more funding for the force. Yet, here we are. With massive protests happening in the country, we are sitting exactly where we were before. The decision made needs to reflect the current situation in the country. This was certainly not the right decision when we were dealing with mass protest. Agreed. Many in the Ministry of Justice hope for an increase, and they are not satisfied with the decision. Regardless, this means that we have to deal with the growing court backlog. It is manageable, but it will be a challenge for sure. You know, I had to make sacrifices for the good of Sordland. These sacrifices might have well damaged the very structural integrity of Sordland. That remains to be seen, but the ripples are already being felt across the country. I hope the decision is not the beginning of something bad. A brief moment of deliberation passed. Lias and Nia got up from their seats. Well then, I must now return to the ministry. Me too. As soon as the doors closed, I could hear their muffled voices as they argued. Should just speak in front of the mirror? Exactly, exactly. They should have like a little thing in here so I can see like how my family feels about me. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm not getting... Oh, it's turn 4. Oh, it's chapter 2, turn 4. Okay. Understandable. What is going on? Oh, wait. Oh, I didn't mean to start like a whole new event. That's fine. The H3 highway construction created a second opportunity to visit the seaside town of Lenkberg. Lenkerberg? Known for the salmon. Thousands of people from the city were employed for construction work by the new highway project. But the main purpose of their visit was to solve construction issues that began to endanger the deadline. We first met with the mayor and took a brief tour in the city. Afterwards, we gathered at the city hall. Simon had a worried look on his face. There's also a message of support from the mayor of Avery, Eric Nail, who was grateful for the H3 investments. I have concerns about the construction due to the progress being slower than expected. We scheduled the project to be done in late 55, but the Sordland State Corporation might miss the target with the current trajectory. After engaging with the managers, they have said that they are moving forward slowly but steadily. The cliffside grounding lake construction between Lenkerberg and Avery is proving more dangerous than expected. The SSC is an organization of principles, so they aren't rushing or risking people's lives. The state can't be reckless. What can we do to get the construction speed back on schedule? That is the million ren question. There are a couple issues that need to be resolved if we want the SSC to make the deadline. One of the important issues is their construction management team. The other could be the outdated construction methods which were used, which require more manpower, but we aren't sure if that contributes to the issue. But with that comes other issues. We don't want to create chaos in the management team, which could cause further problems. Should be fired. We can't let management delay the project. It's unacceptable. I couldn't agree more. The situation is shouldn't be kept going on any longer. It is important that we create jobs for our citizens who are unemployed rather than foreigners. We own the SSC. They can't retaliate and bite the hand that feeds them. A slap on the wrist. Well, let's send them a little warning first and foremost. There's a good chance that they will take far more seriously, and there's a good chance that they will take it far more seriously and take measures to increase speed. Someone took a deep breath and continued. One way or another, we have to solve this issue. This can lead to real complications down the line otherwise. We can either give the construction managers money, warn them, or replace them. With more resources, the manager are more likely to hit the deadline. And any other actions just hurt Sordland. Well, just send a formal letter, warning from the Minister of Economy and the Presidency. The warning will hopefully have a positive result to their performance. We could escalate it further later. I'm not sure what a warning can do to the situation on the ground. The managers already have many issues to tackle. That should be it. Good, we could have figured out a way to move the process forward. And the meeting ending, the three of us went to the beach of Lenkberg. It was rather rocky, but very pristine. The sunset looked absolutely astonishing over the Embarkian Sea. The day-long visit ended with a dinner involving the most important people in the city. Many of them were bureaucrats. Later, we made our way back to Halsord. Okay.